Today, we will be going over 10 of the best watch brands under $1,000. We'll be doing this in two separate sections, one for brands that we all know and love, that are more prestigious, have a bit more history, and one for brands that are lesser known, microbrands, things that are more so about the watch itself rather than the branding. Anyways, I won't hold ya, let's start off with the best big name brands under $1,000. This section is if you want a watch that is still decently made, but you're willing to sacrifice a little quality for brand name and prestige. Starting off with Tissot, a brand that we are all familiar with. Now Tissot has things like the PRX, the C-Star and the Gentleman, which are all great pieces for under 1k, as they sport the Powermatic 80, a decently made ETA 2824-2 clone with an 80-hour power reserve. Now it is good to say that the PRX variation does have a plastic escapement, which isn't great, but overall the brand is still decent for the price. Next we have Hamilton, another very well known brand that's generally known for its field watches, specifically the khaki field, but also with some underrated pieces that people don't talk about, like the khaki navy. These sport again Powermatic 80 movements, but this time with Hamilton branding, where they call it the H10. Hamilton are also specifically known for being in cinema, such as Interstellar and Indiana Jones, yet still remain under that 1k price tag. Next for this section we have Seiko, a Japanese brand with a wide variety of designs, some very reliable movements, and of course some insanely rich history. Seiko watches usually sport an NH35 or variant of this, which is badly finished for sure, but also one of the most reliable and easily replaceable movements you can get, period. Value for money wise, a full RRP, they're pretty bad, but on the various sales, that issue goes down the drain, usually ending them in the price range of about 400 to 800 for a nice piece. Lastly for this section, we have Mido, another Swiss Swatch Group brand that I personally think flies way under the radar. Incredible designs, the best finishing and build quality of the four brands mentioned here, really good specs, but some lesser brand prestige as it's lesser known than the other three. Even so, for just under or above that 1k range, they have some very luxurious feeling stuff. There are a few honourable mentions if you want to see them for a part 2 of this video if it performs well, and that consists of Citizen, Certina and Bulova. But also some brands to mention are going second hand if you're looking at the lower end models. For about $1,000 you can get an Oris, a Longines, maybe a tag Heuer, and even some more interesting brands like, let's say, Laco. Now for part 2, the best microbrands under 1,000. This section is right for you specifically if you want pieces that are just well made. You don't really care for brand prestige or history or any of that stuff. You just want a good watch for a good price. Now microbrands can offer this, making higher end watches with better finishing and specs and build quality for lower prices, as they don't pay much marketing, don't pay middleman fees as they're usually only sold directly through the Microbrand website, and they also use off-the-shelf movements like NH35s, Miyota 9000 series, SW200s or 330s and more. This means that the end product is just as good even for a lower price, and this is generally because they don't have to put money in marketing, they don't have to put money in movement design, and they don't have to put any money into middlemen either, because retailers taking a cut of course does inflate prices. Of course, as well as this, having no heritage is a big factor in the cost of things. I mean, let's be realistic, a lot of these luxury brands that cost ever so much, cost that much because of the name on the dial. Quality wise, yeah, they might be better. A Vacheron Constantin might be better than a Longines, but realistically, not by 20 or 30 times the price, only by maybe twice. But the brand on the dial really makes that price pump up. But with microbrands, you just don't have that. And starting us off for microbrands, we have Zelos, a brand that specialises in funky and unique, usually enamel dials. Now Zelos have some of the better finishing in the price range, and are actually a brand from Singapore. They also use great movements such as the Miyota 9000 series and some ETA stuff, while also making all their pieces limited editions, still staying in that around $600 to $1,000 price tag. For those of you with more of a reserved taste, we have Maen or Maen, however you want to pronounce it. Now, Maen make very basic and tasteful classic designs that are really versatile. Some people think that makes them a bit bland or boring, but I would be inclined to disagree, as we all need a more basic piece in the collection. I will quickly say that all of their pieces have great value and stuff, apart from the new Nico-Leonard collaboration, because it's just not very good. It's the only watch of their collection to avoid, as they use a modified ST1721 movement, which is a Chinese-made jump hour movement found in watches for less than $100 when they're selling it for $1,000. Next we have Wise, a brand from Thailand known specifically for really good divers. Now Wise is known for great finishing and build quality, yes, but similar to Zelos, their main attraction is unique and well patterned dials, along with very wearable proportioning. These stay more in the 400 to 800 range, yet have patterns and finishing that rival and even outdo more expensive Seiko and such like King Seiko or Seiko Superior. Next we have Laurier, an American brand that specialises in vintage looking watches, with of course modern build quality and finishing. This brand stands out for really having classic and timeless designs that look right out of the 50s and 60s, with similar proportioning to that time as well. I actually prefer these proportionings myself, as I believe watches these days look too large and bulky most of the time. Even on larger guys, I just think that it's nicer having a watch that wears smaller, and Laurier provides all of this in a range of about $600 to $1,000. Second to last, we have Venezianico, a brand that really just drills down into that Italian heritage. Now this brand uses very common and normal designs, but then slightly alters them to make them just that bit different, which leads to their pieces still being pretty standout, yet not too far on the funky side of things, meaning that basically they're unique and they're different, but they're still formal and they're still very wearable to most events. They also use a lot of interesting dials with patternings, but also materials like meteorite, aventurine and more, still all under that 1k price range. Lastly, we have a very new and very fresh brand, one from another watch YouTuber that I'm sure you're all familiar with, and that is Erebus from Jody of At Just One More Watch. This man has done amazing, and with his passion and expertise on reviewing and handling many watches in the sub 1000 range, he's made some of the best stuff out there in the sub 1k price range. I mean, not only do they have awesome dials, great specs and finishing, but they come in sizes for everyone and have done nothing less than impress me thus far. Now there are a few more microbrands, in fact a lot more microbrands to mention here, but I can't have the video being too long, and there's just so many options. I thought I'd just do a quick little thing where I go over a few of the ones that interest me most. The brands deserving of this are the likes of Brew, Yema, Traska, Heuer and Baltic, but also with brands that are just a little bit more expensive that you might be able to get around $1,000 second hand, like Formex, Christopher Ward, Straum and Serica. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe, it really does help me out. And never forget, time keeps ticking, so use the time you have wisely.